There's been a lot of exciting things happening in the Cardano ecosystem, including a potential collaboration with Microsoft, a launching of an ETF, a Cardano spot ETF by Grayscale. And if you remember what Charles Hoskinson said just a week ago, he's meeting someone very, very important at the end of the month. Is it time for Cardano to shine? Now, you take a look at the coin market cap, the top gainers over the last 24 hours, and number 2 is ADA, up 10.26% over the last 24 hours, up 2% on the 1 hour alone. We'll get into the charts in a little bit, but I do want to share this piece of news. This was posted by Eric Balkunis, the senior ETF analyst over at Bloomberg, and it states Grayscale has filed their 19B4 for a spot Cardano ETF, the first one in the United States, and ballpark 60th crypto ETF filed this year so far. Now, Cardano is not the first altcoin that's had a 19B4. Well, outside of Ethereum, you had Litecoin, you had Hedera, you had XRP, you had Solana. So there's still a few to go before it gets to Cardano. But if any of those other ones get approved, this is going to be a lock-in for a Cardano ETF to hit the markets in 2025, potentially with the new SEC chair. Now, I do want to caution people. We saw what happened with the Bitcoin ETF. We saw a big run-up prior to the approval. We saw a little bit of a run-up when it got approved, and then it was chop and consolidation for a few months. Saw the same thing with ETH. But the benefit here is there's not $8 to $10 billion of Bitcoin or Ethereum sitting in a trust that's being converted into a spot ETF with higher fees. So Cardano would essentially start with a blank slate. And so you shouldn't see a lot of those outflows that we saw with Grayscale. So a little more bullish side on that, but also giving Wall Street investors the ability to have access to Cardano's potential upside is going to be massive. And also, not to mention, having that product available in the same markets that a Bitcoin or Ethereum spot ETF is available, to be able to roll those profits over into more risky, higher upside plays like Cardano, that's going to be very beneficial. And then we had this. Now, this is just a 4-second clip, but it mentions, I don't know if they're number 1 in market cap, Microsoft, but they're in the top 3. Take a listen.
To Microsoft, who may actually come in and collaborate with us.
Who might actually come in and collaborate with us. I don't even know what that looks like, to what extent. Is it AI? Is it real-world asset tokenization? Does it involve Midnight? Does it involve... I don't know. But when you drop a name like Microsoft, right, the world's largest software company, who once held the number 1 position in market cap globally, trumping Apple, trumping Meta, trumping NVIDIA. This is absolutely massive news. I'm curious to get more insight into what is this going to look like, what verticals are they going to collaborate with. But if you get Microsoft into your ecosystem, that literally opens the largest door, I want to say, in the entire crypto industry. And while price has reacted accordingly, you take a look. This was a pattern we had on Cardano on the daily, going back to last week, where we saw this descending wedge, right? This falling wedge that did break to the upside. We got all the way up to around 82 cents, which was our previous week high, which also was right where Cardano opened before that mass liquidation event, or where Cardano closed prior to that mass liquidation event on Black Sunday just last weekend. Now, Cardano's chart is looking pretty good, but there still are a couple of key levels that we need to take out. And I'm going to throw on the price action concepts here. So the first thing we have here is our gap that we created with that giant liquidation event. And this gap ranges from 83.4 to around 88.29 cents. So once we clear that, now there is some congruence here with this large order block where we saw, let me get rid of this, where we saw right around 22% of all volume traded, and you have about 1.6 to 1 buys versus sells. So these are incongruent. Now, this is an area I believe we can take in one fell swoop. Now, I'm not saying in today's candle, but in a daily or a weekly candle, I believe this position or these levels will be taken out. And then you're really looking at $1 as your next resistance level. Now, we could potentially get a retest of this trend line. Although if things continue the way they are and we see more bullish news, this potential retest could bring us down to that 68 cent level. And depending on how price reacts to the 68 cents, it could be an absolutely amazing opportunity for a long position. And so make sure to stay tuned because we'll be keeping our eye on this. Watch our live show and obviously watch the Cardano videos we put out, because when this does happen, if it does happen, this retest, we'll be entering into a pretty big long trade on our Buy DeFi account. So make sure to follow that as well. So things are looking good for Cardano. Could it lead off the next rally in the altcoins potentially? Curious to see what comes out of the Microsoft news. Also, very, very curious to see exactly who Charles was alluding to when he said he's meeting with someone more famous than Elon Musk. Who could that or more famous than the president or whoever he said? Pretty damn famous person. Could it be Elon Musk? Could it be President Trump himself? Could it be Bill Gates? Are these two things tied together? We don't know just yet, but we'll find out for you. Hear it first here at Sincere Crypto. So make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one.